Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to the official live stream of Daniel Tolson and Dr. Joe Isaac. Dr. Joe, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, my awesome friend Daniel, and the amazing people that are watching the live stream now. I love you so much. And the reason why I love you is because you love yourself and you want to be better. And today, we're going to achieve just exactly that.
Well, I think we need to because for a lot of us, Joe, I see people waking up in their mid-30s and they go into a place of darkness and they start to look around for who they are and they try to figure out who they are. And there was some interesting numbers I was reading recently, and they say about 84% of the population have a feeling of unfulfilled potential. And with what's happening around the world right now, I think so many people have got these skills, but they've got idle hands and they can't use their God-given attributes. They can't use their acquired attributes, and the self-doubt starts to kick in. You know, am I really as good as I thought I was? Now, you're the expert on this area. What would people be going through, and what are some of the signs and symptoms of this feeling of unfulfilled potential?
Before we go ahead and sort of dive through to this, let's just have a conversation together. And if you are on the replay of this video, if you want to take the best out of this short live stream, here's my suggestion for you. Every question I pose onto the legendary Daniel Tolson, I want you to hear it in your ears and pretend it's for you and try to prepare an answer. And vice versa, when Daniel poses a question on me, I want you to do the same, Kim. I really want to bring you in the Zoom of this because we're going to talk about emotions. We're going to talk about feelings. Before I jump onto this one, then Dale Carnegie, and I love this guy, and I consider him to be the father of personal development and professional development. He said that the people die in his book, very popular book, How to Make Friends and Influence People. People die and they only used 45% of their capabilities. So I'm really supporting what you're saying, and I'm seconding what you're saying, that a lot of people don't know. And I think one of your sentences, and excuse me, I'm going to steal it from you, IP Daniel Tolson. Well, I've only heard it from you, so I'm going to give you the IP. It's what's stopping you is what you don't know, not what you know. So imagine 55% of their capabilities, they're not even aware of. It's not even on the radar. So yes, they're going to have unfeeling potential. Let me ask you a question then. If we think about stress, for instance, why are you stressed about, let's go back before you set yourself up in the live stream with the mics and so on. If I ask you a question and say, were you stressed which mic to choose, how to make the setup, how the sound is gonna be in terms of quality, what would you say? Would you say that you were stressed, yes or no?
In terms of a negative stress, no. Definitely
Okay.
Positive stress, yes.
Cool. Very good.
Absolutely.
So you were stressed positively. And I'm not going to say that this was a negative stress. Okay. Now, the other thing is, why do you think you're stressed positively according to you?
Why would I do that?
It happened naturally.
Yeah.
I'm asking you why.
Is, I'm an artist, and the microphone's my canvas. I've got to paint a beautiful picture, and so I want to get it right, and I want it to be the right reflection of who I am, and I want it to be in the right direction to where I'm heading, but also from where I'm moving away from.
I would not argue what you said. However, that's not the answer I was looking for. In fact, I do know the answer, and I will tell you the answer. And I'm wearing that t-shirt, and it comes in handy. The reason why you had that positive stress, Daniel, in my view, subjective to me, is because you were taking steps. This is why you did not sit idle. You did not blow all these monsters in your head that it's going to be difficult. How am I going to set it up? It might not go. It might not work. You actually started taking steps, and you put yourself into action. And this is why today I also want to ask you another question to highlight this area. I do get many people try to connect with me, and we can do content together and really help each other out. And I believe in collaboration. I've made so many videos about it, and I received overwhelming responses. But let's go back to my story, me and you. why did I choose to work with Daniel Tolson and had the honor to accept to be part of your team? What would you think is the answer? And it doesn't matter if it's right or not. It's just I just want to explore your thoughts.
Never thought of it until then. But in terms of collaboration, I think in here it's there's unique strengths that we both have that we can leverage on, but there's also many differences which also complement one another. So I'd be thinking from there to start with.
Very good starting point. And yes, I agree with this. However, it's not the answer I'm looking for. The answer I'm looking for is when we connected on social media, this is what I profiled you really quickly based on that. So this is what you have done. And I'm very proud to say that it was astonishing. It was great. And you're exactly the type of person I would consider to be a brother to me. I always wanted to be to have a brother because I only have one sister. And when I see people that exhibit that brotherhood feeling, I jump in and I will go full speed with them, even in uncertain areas or areas of grayness where we're just going to wander together. If we're going to get shot, that's fine. We'll do it together. We'll die together with honor.
The bullets.
That's it. So what you have done is, number one thing, that you've expressed your opinions. You were consistent. And then once we connected together, we've had like short, sharp conversations. I really like this. I like that. We build that connection. And then you put it straight into action. You're like, okay, can we do something together? Let's do it. Other people, and I have people here, I don't want to name them in case they feel upset. They have very strong presence on social media and up to 500,000 followers on certain platforms. And they wanted to come and work with me, and they approached me. And up until now, it's been a few months, we haven't produced not even one video. Now, they could be similar in terms of we have strength and we have differences, like you said, but they're not Daniel Tolson. And I respect a man that sees something, sees the opportunity, and makes immediate action and jumps into it. It doesn't have to be perfect. We can always do the best that we can as long as we actually move. So again, I'm back to my t-shirt today, and if I move further here, you can see it says take the first step. What often
it was
holds
making me hungry, that shirt, because I thought the bottom said take the first bite.
Oh well, it's actually the step, and you can see like the foot. I'm kind of standing on my chair here, but the idea here is, how do we eliminate all these things? Why people are not living their full potential? Psychologically, the more people talk about something, the less they jump into action. And here's the thing: New Year resolution. All the coaches, everybody's producing videos, are trending on the new year, start the new year right, etc. So they start, make all these dot points. This year is going to be like this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do this. And then the year passes by. What did they achieve from those bullet points? The majority of the people, I'm not saying everyone, there will be some people that will nail it. I'm talking about the majority. Nothing.
The New York Times did a good piece of research on this years ago. And they discovered that people who set New Year's resolutions and took action on it were 1,004% more likely to achieve their New Year's resolutions than people who had only thought about it.
That is right.
It's interesting. And I was having a laugh with a friend yesterday. I said, get ready for the memes. It's coming. 2020 was just the warm-up. 2021 is the game.
That's right. And that is true. And I entirely, obviously, you're kind of echoing what I'm saying. We're both on the same page. So today, I really think the most important thing to people to reach their full potential is to take the first step. It doesn't have to be the perfect step, just the first step towards something. Actually take action, because the cognitive behavioral therapy is all about shifting your mindset from thoughts. Like, I think you had a guest the other day, Dan, I forgot his name. I think it was Jordan. He's a young business entrepreneur, very, very nice guy. And he
Jordan
said...
from stride.com.
Well, I'm not going to remember the details, but...
Hey, I'm going to put a test out there. We better make sure you do.
So he said something interesting about analysis or paralysis by analysis. So again, all these people doing a lot of research. And I'm not saying that the research, please don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that the research is not important, but I'm saying knowledge without action is hypocrisy. And research without taking action is laziness. And generally speaking, without following what you discussed is absolute insanity. These are the three things I'm saying for anybody to fulfill their potential. Like I said before, about how I was not confident, I couldn't connect with people, I couldn't put two words together to the person I am today. The only reason is because I actually took the first step back in the day and I read that book from Dale Carnegie that started to move me in a direction I didn't even know existed. So here we are today. Moving on from here, the potential. How do we fulfill our potential? Go back to Daniel, and I remember you were talking about your goals and objectives when you wanted to become an Australian champion in
2006.
Perfect. And you set your expectations way too
Low. No, it was high. Most people do
very.
it too low.
That's right. Very, very high. And that's why you haven't achieved it then. But then a few years later, you did
I did. With time.
achieve it. And from that, you learned one thing, how to reach your full potential. To Daniel now, as a person, as a brother, as people that watch your videos, people that learn from you, the clients that come to you for help, I love how you have a very powerful structure for automation. What is automation? Don't get me wrong. I don't believe in automation that is tasteless, that you get all these emails or all these messages. Hello there. How are you? I hope you're having a good day today, blah, blah. No, you don't do that. But you have a type of automation from messages to etc. Still have that personal touch. And the reason here is why you're doing what you're doing, Daniel, is because you're trying to seize every opportunity. And there's only 24 hours in the day. I'm pretty sure you would have said at some point that you wish there were 48 hours in the 24 hours.
Mate, you must have been listening to my conversations this morning. Where's the maybe I left the microphone on, did I?
Well, this is what we call a spiritual connection, between us. And I could understand completely why is that. Because when you have that full potential and you can see, okay, I mean, you are great now. When you compare yourself back in 2006 to who is Daniel Tolson in 2020, what do you see?
Well, it's a different journey. It's a different story. I remember in 2006, my self-image was very different. So today, 20 years, 14 years later, it's a very different self-image. Also, back then, I had a very different self-ideal. In 2006, I'd achieved that ideal person that I was wanting to become. But that also changed. And also through those experiences, I changed my levels of self-esteem and self-worth. So previous to that, the levels of self-esteem were lower. Once I got to 2006, they raised up. But in 2020, they're at a different level altogether. And so that self-concept, if I was talking about my self-concept back then, that has changed and it's a different person. And that person, the memory remains, but they're not present in this world today.
And that is exactly what I'm expecting. So to summarize what you said, the person in 2006 has nothing to do with 2020 in terms of some emotions and pictures and so on and memories. Yes, but this person is much more developed, a better, stronger, more given, etc., etc. All the positives, just steroids. Put them in steroids. The thing is, what would you see yourself in 2030? Someone like you will be able to envisage that. And this is what you're working towards. Because you've asked me, how do we reach our full potential? Well, how are we going to reach our full potential if we can't see it? See how I'm answering your questions today more like in a conversations. So we can kind of arrive at the same point together. If you tell me that years later, Joe, when I was back in the day, you're going to be standing on a stage in front of thousands of people and actually don't blink and don't collapse and don't go to the hospital from a nervous breakdown, I would have really not doubted that you are insane. Now it happens, and a lot of people know that we can call Joe the last minute. He doesn't need to prepare. He's always ready to go. This is something that people know about me because I talk from my heart. How is that possible? I didn't even see that back in the day, but now I could see, and I'm not saying I'm the best now, 2020. No, no, no. I'm seeing there is so much more I could work on. A question I was asked the other day in an interview, and they said, "What is one thing that you don't like about yourself?" And you see my speed. When you ask me a question, I go bang, the answer. When they asked me this question, I actually had to pause for a few seconds. And they said, "Is there something wrong?" I was like, "No, I'm thinking." And they said, "We just needed like one thing." I said, "I'm trying to pick which one thing that I don't like in the many things that I am working on." So basically, what I'm trying to say here is I had a lot of things I know I'm working on because I could see the version I'm working towards to reach that full potential. And English is not my first language. It has always been a difficulty on my side to try to express my emotions that comes in my mother tongue and actually put it into English and keep battling that. Now, up until all these years, even until today, sometimes my tongue gets twisted because English will never be my first language, but I can master it. I can practice it. See, this is the sense where we're actually going. We need to see, we achieve that, then we eliminate with action all the obstacles because we create a lot of stress, whether we know it or not, subconsciously. And it's only alive in our head. And I can see Derek here is tuning in the conversation saying you can only reach your full potential only if you can visualize it internally. So we've get it. Thank you so much, Derek, for seconding me on this comment. Yes, absolutely, that is the case.
One of the most important things for people today is to get clear on what that vision is. See, there's a billion things that you can do on this planet, maybe more, but it comes down to deciding what's the right one for you. And in self-awareness, we talk about knowing who we are. The Greeks for 2,000 years have been talking about know thyself. And as you start to understand who you are and why you think and feel the way that you do, only once you understand who you are can then you choose your vision. For me, when I grew up on the water skiing, I had been bred on the river. I'd go down to the river, I'd watch my father, and I'd make decisions. Hey, that looks fun. I want to do that when I get bigger. And once I did it, I enjoyed it. And then I realized that I was good at it. And the more that I practiced it and the more competent I became at water skiing, the more confident I was. And then the more confidence I had, the bigger goals that I'd set for myself. And so I wanted to stretch to see how far I could go. And for our friends joining us today, one of the things that you've got to understand about you is if you took all of your DNA, and if you could stretch out all of your DNA, you could stretch your DNA from where you are today to the sun and back 300 times. Now, that's a long way, but what does it mean? What it means is that you're unlimited potential. And like Joe said before, you have to take a step. You got to take one step and you got to put your toe in the water. And then once you've put one toe in, you can put another toe in. But it all begins with the first step. So try different things, see what you like, see what your inborn attributes are and what you're naturally good at. And if it doesn't align with your natural inborn attributes, then go and learn something else or try something else that might suit you better. Now, when I grew up, Joe, I played many different musical instruments. I played the guitar and I was tone deaf. Well, I was tone deaf and I had some disabilities, so I just decided that wasn't for me. And so instead of trying to force it upon myself, I made a change. And then I started to become a boy soprano. And now I didn't want to be a boy soprano. So I didn't do that anymore, but I found the drums. And as you mentioned here about talking from the heart, I felt that in my heart, this is what I wanted. Hitting those drums, bang, 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 brought a lot of immediate joy. So Claire's joined us also. Claire, thank you for having me on your podcast the other day. What a great experience, and I'm looking forward to that going live. Claire says, our minds so often create obstacles which are not even there. Now we better put the doctor in the driving seat. Dr. Joe, what do you say about this?
Well, thank you so much for Claire. Claire, I do recall she made some comments previously. So again, thank you for joining us. It means a lot to me. And yes, I do agree with you, but I just want to highlight it more to the people to put it into context. The obstacles are there in their mind only, but it doesn't really exist for others. So from the concept, they're not even there for other people, that's yes, but it's there for them. So once we capitalize on the obstacle is just alive here, we can flick it off. It doesn't actually exist. So I'm entirely with you on the same page. And I thank you for being an active participant to keep the conversation going. One thing I wanted to share with you, Daniel, about the journey, because we're still talking about your full potentials. Have you ever seen a tree that was cut? Big, large tree that was cut?
I have indeed many
Right.
times.
Many times. So when you look at that cut, what do you see?
When I look at the cut, if I was looking at it now,
Yep.
I'd be looking at the outside of the
Hmm.
tree. I'd be having a look at the bark,
Hmm.
and then I'd be moving from the outside to the inner, and I'd want to have a look at what's in the core, and I'd be looking at all these rings all the way in to the center of the tree. And I'd
Right.
think to myself, how long did it take this tree to grow? What did
Right.
it do? And a little bit of
Right.
curiosity. How did it get here? That's how I'd start.
Well, that is a great start. I will look into all these things and I'll share with you something. I don't have software going and artificial intelligence like you. I'm only using the old method, the traditional method, just my head. But that tells me a lot about you, which I'm not really surprised. You analyze the situation from the outside. You're an analyst and generalist, and then you start digging deep to actually see how deep this situation is, analyzing it further with critical analysis, and driven by curiosity is a very, very powerful trait for a leader. Now, from this conversation, my point was about the rings. You wondered how old this tree is, you know, and I think Claire is joining the conversation here, and I thank you again, Claire, for participating with us. The tree's journey, there's so many rings, every single ring inside, and this is scientific, we all know this, we've learned at school, it tells you the age of the tree. Okay, it had 100 circles, it's or 100 rings, it's 100 years old. But the idea here is, from the outside, I can't tell how wise this tree is, how long this tree has been on the planet, until the tree decides to fall. Whether to fall or be cut or whatever, that's when I can really determine the wisdom. So, back to our full potential, I can't really predict my full potential until I have a look at my rings and visualize previous rings and future rings in the space that is allowed and available for that development. So I can't really set goals and see myself, when I'm 140, because generally speaking, nobody makes it to that age. And that will be outside of the tree. Like you came from the outside and you kind of zoomed in, checked the situation, started to zoom into the core, and then driven by the curiosity, you looked at it from all angles. And this is not a typical answer that somebody will give me when I say, "What do you see?" Which kind of describes Daniel's personality. Is that interesting?
It's fascinating. I I was thinking about it there. I was thinking, who cut down the bloody tree? Was it my dad? He's always cutting down trees. So we have unlimited potential, and there's a formula I learned years ago, and it was called the formula of individual human potential, and it says you can predict how far you can go in your lifetime, and what you got to do is you got to take stock. You got to take a stock take of all of your inborn attributes. Now, all of us have different attributes. We have attributes coming in from our mother's side of the family, and we have attributes coming in from our father's side of the family. And these are things that are just absolutely undeniable. My father, he was a farmer, so I acquired inborn attributes from him. I didn't have to learn these. These are genealogical, they're in the bloodline. And as a
Right.
farmer, as a boy, my father would walk 5 miles to school with no shoes on. And I'm
Okay.
not saying that I walk 5 miles with no shoes on, but what I did acquire from him was, as a farmer, he would get up before the sun and he
Yep.
would work till the job was done. And
Hmm.
so this inborn attribute is something that I have not had to learn. So naturally, I can get up early and I can
Hmm.
stay up late till the job's done. And I believe, Joe, you've got some of this quality in you, because I was messaging you at 11:30 p.m. last night in Taiwan, and you were responding at 2:30 a.m. in Sydney.
Hmm.
So
That is
we
me.
might have the same father. And so we got that. My mother, she came from a family of entrepreneurs. Now, they have what you'd call is the entrepreneurial blood. They were
Right.
self-educated. There was no university, there was no academics there, but
Hmm.
they had the ability to see an opportunity and start a business, take the risk, and build. And so these are inborn attributes. So we've got to understand what these inborn attributes are. If we know what they are, they can help us. If we don't know what they are, we can't utilize them. So that's the first
Absolutely.
part. The second part of the individual human potential formula is acquired attributes. Now,
Hmm.
as far as I'm concerned, and my opinion, and anybody feel free to challenge me on this one, but I
Okay.
believe that you can learn and acquire any knowledge and learn any skill to achieve any goal, because there is no such thing as called a born pilot. Imagine getting on an aircraft, Joe, and the pilot says, "Well, I'm a born pilot. I'm just going to give it a crack today." You would not get on the aircraft. And so
No.
we've got these acquired attributes, and everything is learnable. So once we look at our inborn attributes, and then we have a look at our acquired attributes, we also then have to have a look at our attitude. And I believe attitude is one of the single biggest determinants of success. And
Absolutely.
our attitude, in my opinion, is our angle of approach. How are you going to approach whatever you do? Some people approach things with a very low standard. Some people approach it with a high standard. Some people
Hmm.
approach it with a belief that anything is possible. Other
Hmm.
people approach it with, I believe anything's possible for everybody except for everybody else
Yeah.
except me. And so if you start to have a look at your inborn attributes, have a look at your acquired attributes, and multiply that by your attitude, then that'll tell you how far you can go in this lifetime. It's a very simple formula, but very powerful.
And I could not challenge you in any way or form. In fact, I would like to echo what you just said. I'm with you on all this, and I guess me and you will both talk from personal experiences that we share with other people. We have been there. We are where we are now. We're not inventing stuff. And when I'm teaching at the university, and a lot of people love that about me, is I tell them, forget about models and stuff that doesn't actually work in reality. What I'm going to teach you is step by step how to arrive at things. You do this, you're going to arrive. And I say it works on everybody. This is psychology. It works on human beings. If you try it with animals, I don't know what's going to happen. But human beings, definitely is going to work. And part of this, I was talking about this, I think, with someone a couple of days ago. And we talked about the fear, and how the fear controls someone and fear. And I think I responded to your post today about pain, what drives you, pain or pleasure, the double P, right? And in fact, it was very artful post. It's quite simple, but it's quite deep at the same time, because they both drive people, but depending on what type of person they will drive. Pain will drive the majority because we were built in for self-protection, to protect ourselves, to survive. Pleasure doesn't quite give the same effect, but it works with a particular type of people. People like you and me, we would be driven by the pleasure because we want to get better, and because we are on that self-development journey, helping ourselves first and helping others after we help ourselves. We are onto this. So pleasure is always the drive for us. The more success we see, like you said, you jumped in the water, you achieve this, your confidence grows, etc. So we're still kind of growing. But pain for other people, hey, you want to do this, or you're going to get hurt, or you lose your job, or this, oh, they'll be like, yeah, 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 I'll do it. And this is the interesting thing about us seeing our full potential. So we're talking about coaching. I didn't have anybody to coach me. In fact, Dale Carnegie was the first coach I've ever met, and that book that changed my life. It's a simple book, and it was written in the market, and it wasn't written for me, but I happened to put my hands on it. And you know what surprises me the most then on social media? Can you guess? Pretty sure that it's a really weird guess, but I'll give it a crack anyway. Guess what surprises me on social media the most?
You're going to have to tell me.
No,
Mm,
I'll give
I've run out of
I'll
my
give you a little
guesses
hint.
today.
I give
Give me
you
a letter. Give me the first
a
letter.
little hint.
We'll play hangman on it.
All right, I'll give you a little hint. The little hint is when they have something for free, but, and then I stop.
Abu Balesh Katomeno.
That's right.
Abu
But they
Balesh.
they do it the other way around. So I'll say it again. Claire is saying, "What's that? What is the most thing?" I've been on YouTube for 15 years, like and I have seen a lot of tricks, especially lately now that I'm on Instagram and trying to be on Facebook and trying to understand how the other platforms work apart from YouTube and TikTok. These are the two that I know. But beside that, what really, really surprises me about social media, that you have free stuff, but the people are not taking advantage of it. There are coaches like you charge an arm and a leg for your courses. Same as me. I do the same thing. But here you are now sitting in that live stream for 15, 20 minutes, throwing wisdom and throwing life experiences and giving formulas absolutely for free. Where are the people that want to jump on that journey? It is in the social media terms, just to make it approach it from a different angle, Claire. They call it the EE ratio: education, entertainment. And why we're not reaching our full potential, I keep linking back to the previous question that you have asked me, Daniel, is that we're not putting edutainment. Uh, I don't do education that is just boring. I do edutainment, kind of together versus entertainment. You see, I've had a lot of videos that I have seen. I personally saw my videos, I don't evaluate them as the best. I personally don't. But these videos were the ones that went viral because they were fun. They made the people laugh. Well, it's good to laugh, but we can't spend all our life laughing. There's got to be a room for this and a room for that. And unfortunately, the ratio is 30 entertainment to 1 education, which is why we're not able to see, we're not able to capitalize, we're not able to foresee how the future is coming when we are too busy laughing. This is what surprises me. Another thing as well, Daniel, is the experiences, the angles, how we see things. So right now, our audience are seeing us together, me and Daniel. Now, if Daniel can put, you know, us something here, is bringing something on the screen, it's a different feeling here. Well, what have we got? Who wants change?
Edutainment. Who wants
Everybody.
change?
Yeah, everybody. Who wants to change? Not me.
But give me some entertainment.
Well, that's precisely what it is now. I'm glad that you have the camera now on me, because the people can get a different feel now. This is something about feeling and how we connect with the camera, which is the program I was sharing with you about. We'll actually be doing in 2021. This is a feel as I'm just talking to you. Feels like I'm just talking to you. I'm talking to you, Claire. I'm talking to you, Derek. I'm talking to you, Daniel. Um, Claire, thank you so much. Sorry, I have to say your voice is amazing. Could listen to you all day. Thank you so much, Claire. That is so amazing. I appreciate it. You've just made my day. Thank you so much. And we've got Daniel here now. We're sharing the screen. It's a different feel. Now, if I am talking, and if you don't mind, Daniel, as I'm talking, if you can just put the camera on you, even though I'm the one who is talking. So now that the camera is kind of focused on Daniel, and I'm kind of small in that one, and I'm the one who is talking, it kind of gives you a weird feeling because I'm the one talking, not actually Daniel. But you see, these are just, thank you so much, Daniel, for helping us illustrate that to your viewers and our amazing audience, to just get that feel, how to understand, how to see, and how to feel that full potential. At times, you got to wear different glasses. If you wear this particular type, you're going to see life through that lens. I have made a couple of videos about this, and I was actually changing lens as I'm shooting from the same markers. And I showed them, okay, I'm shooting exactly here. Here are the markers. I'm not moving the cameras. I'm just changing the lens. The same camera, everything else is still consistent. Different lens give people different perception, just like what you have done here, different experience. And I was recording, and I'm sharing this with you because you are my special brother and friend. I was actually recording in the city with random people on the streets and running interviews on, kind of like those pranks, but it wasn't a prank. And you'll see different feelings coming when these videos come up. I could share with you a lot, but I think I should keep it to the time so I don't really go over the time.
Talking about potential. A lot of people have many limiting beliefs. and they make a lot of comparisons. And when I'm coaching, I hear people come to me and they say, Daniel, if I only I was younger. And so they might say, if only I was younger, but they're comparing themselves to somebody who's older. And what we have to be clear on is we have to be clear on what our vision is. And if we're clear on our vision, you'll quickly realize that once you have your vision, there's no competitors. You're running your own race, and there is no competition.
Absolutely.
There is nobody that you can compare yourself to. That's one of the first
Absolutely. That's right.
comparisons. One of the second comparisons is most people compare themselves in the wrong direction. People say,
Agree.
well, if I was as good as that person, well, come on, fair crack. That person's been doing it for 35 or 40 years. The only place
Absolutely.
you should compare to is below, not above.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you compare yourself above, that's a
Mm-hmm.
good place to aim for. That's okay, but don't compare yourself to the expert. They've had
Mm-hmm.
many, many years of experience. Compare yourself to the other people who are around you on a very similar level. That's the only
Mm-hmm.
place you should have a comparison, because then you can accurately gauge how effective you are. But
Mm-hmm.
business success, a lot of people compare themselves, well, that person's got more money. And I say to them, but would you want their wife? You could have all their money, but would you want to be married to their wife? Or would you want to be married to their husband? Or would you want their snotty-nosed little kids? Would you want their mother? Would you want their father? Would you want their circle of friends? And all of a sudden people say,
Not
not at all.
me.
Do you
Yeah.
want their bad health? Okay, yeah, he's got 50 million
Yeah.
bucks and he's going to be dead in 6 months. Is that what you want?
Mm. No.
And then they start to understand that these comparisons do bring them a lot of stress. So Mortner says, the experience of entertainment and education. Daniel entertaining picture and Joe entertaining voice. Very nice voice, isn't it? I was looking at a website last year, Joe, and it was the first time I'd saw that edutainment, and I just shook my head. I went, no, stop it. If I want to go to a concert, I'll go to a concert. If I want to go to the library, I'll go to the library, but I'm not going to mix the two up. But I understand that a lot of people want that, and it's an interesting ratio, 30 to 1.
Yeah,
30 pieces of
unfortunately.
entertainment to 1 piece of knowledge.
Yeah, and that's
So
the
I got a
scary
question
part.
for you, Joe.
Sure.
You've been asking me questions.
Okay. I'm like
if
hiding now.
if knowledge is power, if the more you learn, the more you earn,
Mhm.
why aren't all librarians billionaires?
That's a very good question. I think it's reinforced as we discussed because they're not putting it into action. You know, we both know from our experiences, Daniel, that because we've been coaching people, we've seen people that were on that level, and through our programs and our coaching, they jump through to that level very quickly. Now, we're not saying shortcuts because you're a true guy and I'm a true guy, and I believe that you have to do the work. There's no shortcuts that you can become zero to a hero in 2 seconds. There is a development, but being out there as a coach, someone that drives you, someone that tells you, hey, avoid those holes, I've been there, does actually exponentially speed up that process. So those people who are reading, the librarians, they might have the knowledge, but are they putting it into action? The question is, most probably not. If we know, okay, if I attend this program and I actually train, I will be there, and it cost me 500, 600, whatever the number is. What am I waiting for to put that investment in myself? I will give you today, because we have amazing listeners, and the contribution has been really great. And I want to thank Claire. I want to thank Morna. I agree, delivering to your audience is one person. Really, I want to share with you something to second what you said, Daniel, about our full potential, about the knowledge. If I ask you the question from another angle, when we want to reach our full potential, what is really our target? What are we actually trying to achieve? And hint, hint, I'm looking for a word starts with H.
Is it 5 letters?
If it's the word by itself, yes, it is 5 letters.
Is there two P's in it?
Depending on the noun, yes, that's right.
Does it end with Y?
That is right.
You
I
wanna
love
be
that
happy.
game. That's right. really, at the end of the day, we all seek happiness. This is our target. We just want to be happy. So we seek it in, if I make that much money, I'll be happy. If I become with this partner, or popular, or I'll be happy. But what happens is we venture in those directions and we go back to a very high suicide rate between celebrities. What do the celebrities lack? They have the coverage, they have the unpopular thing, they have the money, they have this, that. So why do they commit suicide? They were never happy. So when we chase happiness, today I'm going to share with you a very quick model, and anybody in the world, and I'm saying this video is live, anybody can see it. I challenge anyone in the world. If you follow this formula, I'm going to give you step by step what to do. You do this for 21 days. You measure, or you come to me to measure you from day 1, come to me again to measure you at day 21. And if I don't prove to you that you're in a better psychological state and a happy state, I'm happy to pay you $10,000 cash. I guess this is a very strong entry line. And if I say it, this is my terms and conditions. We've got Derek here and Morna. How do you change them from being entertained only to being educated? 30 to 1 is huge. Yes, unfortunately, yes. How do we change them? In my view, Morna and Derek, that ratio is really shocking. However, how do we change? We just need to align people that we really are seeking happiness. So, Daniel, you said before, and I'm going to give you one of the steps in that formula. You already said it. I'm going to say it again. Number one thing, compare yourself today with yourself yesterday. That's number one. Number one in the formula. So if you guys are taking notes, if you wanted to take it down, get ready to take this one down. Number one, compare yourself today versus yesterday, or yourself tomorrow versus yesterday, whichever way you want to look at it. You're comparing yourself with yourself. That's one. Number two, deal with people at your own time, at your own agenda. Don't be forced to just deal with them just before they called, because they called you to attend. So they come to you and say, hey, I need you in a meeting now. If you're not ready for that meeting now and you're not informed and you're not prepared for it, don't go for it. Deal with people at your own time. Number two. Number three, understand one thing. Look at those people that you've once looked upon to, and where did they end up, and see how can I do this differently and I don't end up in that traction. That's number three. Number four, look at two positive things in any negative apparent situation. I'll say it again. Two positive things in any negative apparent situation, or apparently negative. So I'm going to excuse myself, and I hope you excuse me as well, Daniel. I'm going to use a very extreme example. Is that okay with everybody?
I'll say yes on everybody's behalf.
All right. Thank you. So now I have the consent. I can go for it. So let's say a cheating partner. Nobody's going to agree. Nobody's going to disagree that this is a negative apparent situation. Nobody likes someone to be cheating on them. That's understandable. So if we look at this, we need to extract two positives in a negative situation. Number one, I'm glad I found out. I'm just giving you a demo. I'm glad I found out now, because number two, I still have time to end this if I don't see any development or improvement or any change, and start somewhere else. That's two positives in a very, very difficult, challenging, negative situation. You do these steps exactly how I said them for 21 days. Measure your state here, measure your state there, and self-development for free. You will see the difference for yourself, and that's guaranteed. If you don't see the difference, you come to me and I will pay you in cash. The mic is yours then.
That's an offer any madman would refuse. See, and I like what you said there, Joe. We all have internal emotional states, and you've got to learn to understand when you're feeling happiness and when you're not. And you've also got to experience and understand when you feel a little bit more happiness. See, happiness is an emotional state, and you can have it now, And there's also no limit to how much you're allowed to have. And that's the secret.
Hmm.
Some people don't think they're entitled to a lot of happiness, but you've got to learn to be happy. And I really like that strategy there. And step 3, Joe, looking at other people and understanding where they ended up. My brother and
Hmm.
I, we started a business, and we said, how are we going to become successful? How are we going to make a lot of money? And my
Hmm.
brother got a great sense of humor. He looked over and he said, see this guy? See that guy over there? He said, just do the opposite to what he's doing and we won't be a failure. But
Hmm.
see, we didn't know what the outcome was at that stage, but we started by understanding what we didn't want.
Hmm.
And that's also okay. Because a lot of people, when I ask them, what do you want? They're not sure, but they can tell you everything that they don't want. Now, it's not a
Hmm.
bad strategy as long as it's not how you finish. You got to end up focusing on what you want. Now, just going
Absolutely.
back to the to what Derek's saying here, EE ratio, the usual education to entertainment ratio is 30 to 1. Previous to
Hmm.
that, Morna said, "How do you change them from being entertained only to being educated?"
Hmm.
Morna, I can answer that one for you. You can't. You can't change anybody, and you can persuade people. It's like a horse. You can lead it to water, but you can't
But you can
make it
force it
drink.
to drink.
You
Yeah.
can give it a salt lick, and you can make it lick the salt, but you can't make it drink. And there's a
Hmm.
lovely old saying, Morna, it says, a man convinced against his own will is of the same opinion still. And so, with personal and professional development, people have to find it within themselves that they want something different. And that's all we can do is we can guide them in the right direction. It's like a tour guide. Hey, there's the Eiffel Tower just over there to your left. But it's up to the individual if they want to look or not. Hey, there's the 3 pyramids of Giza just over there. But it's up for that person to look. So we
Hmm.
can't change anybody. It'd be nice if we could. I used to have a magic wand sitting on my desk here, but now I just use my iPen and I say bibbity bobbity boom.
I have my
And cast a
marker.
spell. You need a red one, just cross it out. Now, Derek says, measure yourself after 21 days. Good. He's got the repeat here. Compare
Hmm.
yourself to yesterday. Absolutely. Yesterday, you can compare and you can calibrate. Number
Hmm.
2, deal with people at your own time. Super essential. You want to be in control of your life. I learned this when I was about 19, Joe. I was working for
Hmm.
my uncle in real estate. And he said, Daniel, the person who makes the call is in control. He said, if they
Hmm.
call you and you pick up the phone, they control you. He said, if the
Hmm.
phone rings, don't answer it and call them back when it's convenient for you so you can prepare.
Hmm. That's
And
right.
really, preparation is really the sign of the superior person.
Hmm.
All failure is preceded by insufficient planning. But
Hmm.
planning requires you to think, and thinking is one of the hardest skills on the planet. See, although we go to school, we're taught what to think. And
Hmm.
if you follow all the history books from one side of the state to the other, from one side of the world to the other, all the so called
Absolutely.
facts are different. And as
That's
Joe
right.
said before, it depends what lens you're looking through. So we've got to
That's right.
learn how to think more now. Most people know what to think. They can rabbit off comments and rhetoric, but they can't think for themselves. Fourthly, look at 2 positive things and the apparent negative things. Absolutely. Great 4 steps there, Joe. And I really hope somebody gets you $10,000. But I'm at the heart of me, I'm a skeptic. I doubt people, and I don't believe anybody's going to get you money if they do
Wow.
it with volition because they'll change. And
That
what will happen
is
is they'll feel better about themselves and they'll realize that it's not money that brings them happiness, it's themselves doing what they do best makes them happy. Have you
and
read the book
that's right.
Do What You Love and the Money Will Follow? Have you read that before?
No.
It's a great book called Do What You Love and the Money Will Follow. And if we all just did what we loved, I think the world would be a much happier place. We'd all have
Absolutely.
peace of mind.
Absolutely, Daniel. There is nothing that you can put passion in and it doesn't turn it into beautiful, sexy, attractive. Nothing. You can cook the same meal you bring passion in, it doesn't taste the same. But before I comment on this, Derek, I just want to really thank you so much for taking the time to summarize what we have said for the happiness formula. I really appreciate you, Derek, and I thank you so much for putting the effort to help people out there with writing it. I just wanted to acknowledge that. Same thing for Morna. With Daniel answered your question, and I just want to really reinforce what Daniel said. If we can really have that magic wand, Morna, and move it and change people, there will be no world that we see today in the way we see it. Unfortunately, we can try to persuade them, like Daniel said, and try our best. But at the end of the day, they got to make that call. And just want to thank everybody here for their participation. And again, Daniel, thank you. It's a pleasure to spend that little chat with you on every Monday and really feel that connection and inhale from the wisdom and hang out together.
Well, if we're in California, we could inhale something else, but we won't. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure to be here with you today. And remember, one idea is enough to change your life. And this education and this knowledge is for free. But as Joe's shirt says, is you've got to take the first step. And if you just take one idea today and apply it and repeat it. Now,
so
what happens here is somebody, I saw it on somebody's Facebook today. They said, nothing works for me. And the comment below is, how many times did you attempt it? Twice. What you got to do is you got to make better decisions, and you got to implement strategies until it works for you. Now, if it works for somebody else, it will work for you, but you got to have the discipline and the determination. See, discipline is about doing what's hard, and determination is about seeing things through to the end. And it's impossible to beat somebody who refuses to quit. So if you take a strategy and you apply it, and you've got the discipline to do what's hard, to move out of your comfort zone, and then you've got the determination to see it through to the end, then you can be, you can do, you can have anything in your entire life. Boom.
Absolutely love it. Can't really.
And they go wild. Okay, my brother, it's been wonderful to see you here today. Your final words of wisdom for us to chew on over the next week. What would you like to share with us?
Look, are we talking about this now, or are we talking about something else? Talking about this?
About this final takeaway.
Final takeaway. I'm going to pose that question on my friends here that are listening and watching this video at any time. Leave with one thing. Ask yourself, what am I doing today? What's the first step I will take today? Today, I'll do something. What would that be? Let us know in the comments.
I love it. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining the live stream today, and we look forward to seeing you next week. Joe, I'll see you soon.
All right, take
Ciao
care.
for now.
Thank you. Ciao.